Today I'm joined by Cyril Heckel. He is currently the Next Generation Rotorcraft Capability Programme Manager for its concept stage at NSPA. He's been working within the International Defence Programme environment for the last 19 years, operating 7 years at OCCAR and the last 5 years at NSPA. He has extensive experience in leading high-level performance teams for defence armament programmes, and he strongly supports dedication to customer satisfaction. Cyril, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Anisa, thank you for inviting me for this interview and for giving me the opportunity to present NGRC as a major acquisition program of NSPA.
Cyril, since your presentation at IMH 2024, the NSPA has awarded contracts to Airbus, Leonardo and Lockheed Martin for a 13-month study into the future concepts for NGRC. Can you tell us a little bit more about the studies and what's expected from each of the partners?
Indeed, since the last conference, we had a very busy schedule because in addition to the studies you mentioned, we had other studies that were performed. So first we finalized our first study, which was this agnostic view for novel power plant for NGRC. And also we are about to finalize the third study, which is about open system architecture. The same. The objective for these two studies were to get this agnostic view about novel power plant and open system architecture to help us, NSPA and the nations, to build some knowledge in order to evaluate and assess the result from the so-called Study 5 mentioned that we awarded to Airbus, Leonardo and Sikorsky. So we awarded this Study 5, which is an integrated platform concept review, last August. Indeed, they will last 13 months until September next year. And the objective is there to get an idea of which are the possible concepts for NGRC, the concept solutions that will answer the so-called attributes, so the high-level expectations for NGRC, and also the concept of operation, which is made of 11 main missions for NGRC. So each contractor, they will have the opportunity to present up to 2 concept solutions. And after that, nations will identify indeed which are their preferred concept solutions before going to the next step of writing the NGRC requirements. So this is a pivotal event for NGRC, which is indeed to get these concept solutions before going to the next step, which is the writing of the NGRC requirements that will allow to identify the NGRC solution in the future.
The NSPA has proven vital for rearming and equipping NATO nations. In a time of tremendous pressure, what has enabled the NSPA to remain as effective as it has?
Indeed, effectiveness is one of the part of our motto at NSPA. We like to say that we are efficient, effective, and responsive. And I like also to remind, we have a new Secretary General, and 3 weeks ago, he reminded which are the priorities of NATO. And indeed, the first one is to ensure that the NATO members, they have the capabilities to face any threat to the alliance. There is also the second one about support the Ukrainian effort against the Russian aggression. And the last one is to address the global challenges to the Euro-Atlantic security. When we take these 3 priorities and 3 objectives, the first one, this is one at NSPA we tackle through our new acquisition activities. We are there to support and help the nations in buying and acquiring these new capabilities. So this is typically NGRC as part of one of these acquisition activities. The second one, the support to Ukraine, is really about the logistic and sustainment support. So we have a directorate of operations, which is supporting this for many activities like medical support. We have also fuel support and all these kind of activities. And the last one about the global challenges for the Euro-Atlantic security, it's all about boosting cooperation between nations and strengthening partnerships. And again, at NSPA, thanks to these acquisition activities for the acquisition directorate, we are there to strengthen these partnerships between nations. And especially for the acquisition directorate, as well as for NGRC, I like to illustrate this also with the innovations that are around acquisitions. And usually I like to depict, for me, innovations against 3 different pillars. The first one being about the asset itself. That means we want to have the best system with the best innovations to give an advantage to the end users on the battlefield. The second innovation is the one we expect from our colleagues from industry, because we expect to deliver a bit faster and better. So that means we should improve compared to the past cooperations. So, as I said, by delivering faster and better and also cheaper. And the last innovation is for us, the acquisition agencies. We need to ensure that the same, we can deliver better to our customers. That means pay attention to this delivery and avoid sometimes the administrative charge we may put to our customers. So, as I said, for the NATO, these three objectives, NSPA is effective because we are able to contribute to these three different objectives in a different way. And in particular for the acquisition directorate, this part of boosting cooperation by strengthening partnerships is key for the NATO alliance.
It has been reported that the NSPA is opening an office to increase and formalise engagement with industry in the pre-competitive environment. Could you explain the aims and implications of this?
Yes. Industry is always a key stakeholder for NSPA. You know that we interact a lot with industry from all NATO member nations. So it's a key stakeholder for our activities. With this new office, we just highlight indeed that we want to strengthen this relationship with industry. For example, we interact a lot also with the NIAG, which is a NATO Industry Advisory Group. And what we want to gain from them is their awareness and their knowledge about, yes, procurement activities, but also the economical and technical and economic conditions for any new activities. Some of the key principles we apply for procurement, and I like them, we call them the rules or the principles of the 3 Cs, which is about cooperation, consolidation, and competition. Cooperation is a bit what I mentioned before, to strengthen the partnerships, to bring to the same table a group of nations to have the benefit of a cooperation. Consolidation is about the requirements. We need to ensure that we have the same set of requirements to have more benefits through the procurement activities. And the last C is about competition. Competition is a by default rule for the procurement activities at NSPA, and it's there to maximize the cost and operational benefits for our customers. And when we engage with industry, it's always with transparency, integrity, and also equal treatment, whichever the industry we are dealing with. This new office will be very useful to reinforce these links with industry, so we can further explain how we run our procurement activities, but also to anticipate the future needs. We have several tools, procurement tools at the agency, which are, industry days or future business opportunities, request for proposal. And the aim of this office is clearly to explain to the industry world and to potential new industry involved with us to understand better our processes and how we run competitions and how they can contribute to our effort. As an example for NGRC, what we did when we run this competition, because we have also several types of competition we can run, and I like to use what we call the best value competition, which is a way to address a different weight for the cost and the performance of your contract. The same, it's really useful because you give an indication to industry on what is the most important factor in your competition. It might be the cost or it might be the technical performance. And as I said, this office would be really useful for this, to explain further how we are shaping the competitions, to give a chance for these new industries to participate to these competitions and to prepare the best bids possible for the benefit of our customers.
Cyril, you mentioned cost and technical performance, and the NGRC aims to increase interoperability amongst participating allies through a shared helicopter design. What does a shared design mean in this context, and does the cost and technical performance come into that?
Indirectly or directly, depending on the topic, yes, the shared design is a really relevant topic for us at NGRC. Why? Because this is one of the feedback we gain from previous cooperations. That initially, when you start a cooperation with several nations, they have the willingness to keep the same design for interoperability interest, but also to ensure that we have the lowest cost through the life cycle of the system. But experience shows that unfortunately nations have tendency to put some kind of priority to their national requirements, and after a while you have several, even in some cases, too many variants of the same system. And you lose these benefits that you were targeting in the beginning. So when we say that for NGRC we are targeting a shared design, it starts first from what I call the CONOPS, so the concept of operations. So we are targeting to be able to perform 11 missions with NGRC. And the ideal situation is what we are doing now, to discuss with the operation experts from the participating nations to ensure that they agree on this scope of 11 missions. So by ensuring that you want to perform the same missions, we can expect that then for the design of the system, they will use the same design. And a second aspect is that we are trying to use the so-called NGRC attributes to ensure that we are promoting this shared design. So we are targeting to have a common airframe, and it will be the same for all nations. And then, thanks to an attribute like the modularity, it will be used to tackle some of the specifics to answer the dedicated missions of NGRC. And in some cases, if one nation has a specific submissions or equipment they want to integrate, it could be integrated in an easier way compared to the current systems. So when we say shared design, it's really this, to have a common airframe and to use the other attributes like modularity to ensure that through the life cycle, we continue to have cost savings and also this interoperability for NGRC.
Cyril, you mentioned there the specific submissions by individual nations, and in March this year, Canada officially became a member of the NGRC programme. What does this mean for the programme?
Indeed, Canada officially joined the programme earlier this year, and it was an exciting news for the programme and the other nations. You have to be frank that they were already part of all the working groups and the activities already since 2022. But yes, it became official this year, and for us it was, as I said, exciting, because I would not say that you want to have plenty of nations or the most of nations part of an activity, but it's always good to have diversity in the ideas you are bringing to the table. And having our colleagues from Canada joining the team, it ensures this diversity. You know, at concept stage, you want to have several ideas. You want to be ambitious. And it's really great to have another nation. So as I said, for example, in the program, we have what we call a CONOPS, so Concept of Operation Advisory Group, where we have a group of operation experts from each nation, and they establish together this set of missions, and they are discussing also together which will be the next requirements for NGRC. And as I said again, thanks to this diversity, it's a great advantage for NGRC. Plus, it illustrates this Euro-Atlantic link we have by having Canada as a part of the NGRC nations.
Along with Canada joining the NGRC programme, which is excellent, this year NATO welcomed new members as well. Have these nations shown any interest in joining the programme?
I will answer a bit widely to this question, because currently we have interest from several nations. It's more about curiosity at this stage. You've heard probably that last month our nation signed the Amendment 2 of the MOU, meaning we are continuing a new set of activities for the concept stage. And for sure, now that NGRC is going towards the next phase and potentially up to the development and production activities, it will raise some interest. So any member from the alliance, including the last ones, the most recent ones, they will be informed first, and any new partner is welcome to join this initiative. And as I said previously, it's always interesting for the diversity of the ideas to join. So I don't want to have 20 nations just for the pleasure to have 20 nations, but thanks to this diversity, and when we promote also the interoperability, I think it's interesting for all any potential new partner in the initiative.
That's really interesting. NGRC leverages current and upcoming technological advances, production methods and operational concepts, as you mentioned. How does it accomplish this in an increasingly technologically disruptive world? And could you give an example of a technology or production method that the NGRC has leveraged?
Indeed, we are facing this innovation environment a lot for NGRC, but we are still at a concept stage. So let's say currently we are producing more papers and ideas. So indeed, we are targeting plenty of innovations, and we have them in mind as tools or even as innovations for the system. But as I said, being at the concept level yet, we don't know what will be really used or implemented for NGRC. Nevertheless, we have some ideas in mind, and sometimes they are not only about technologies, they are also programmatic. For example, we are trying to explore some cost management principles which are there to help the decision-making of nations, and also to ask our colleagues from industry to provide us some cost estimates from the early stages to support this decision-making. Regarding the technological aspect, yes, we have, as I said, as we are at a concept stage, it's a lot about simulations. So to help building knowledge, to help building our assessment of what could be NGRC, we're asking our colleagues from industry, and especially through Study 5, to Airbus, Leonardo, and Sikorsky, to provide us with some simulations to explain further the concept solutions. And these simulations that will be assessed by nations and NSPA will help support our decision-making for the future. Other aspects like artificial intelligence, additive manufacturing, they are explored through what we call integrated logistic and support activities. So even if these benefits should be expected through the life cycle at a later stage, we are already asking industry to tackle them at early stage already. And another innovation that is key for us is this open system architecture, because it will allow us in the future to many benefits. First, for cost benefits, that means we can implement in an easier way innovations and new modifications in the system, and it should be also much faster. As an example, for this study 3 about open system architecture, which was awarded to Lockheed Martin, they provided us with a demonstration of what would be the benefits. And indeed, in this demonstration, they showed that from the request from one end user to have a change on the screen, it was really easy to implement after a short loop for validation. Now we need to ensure that we can implement this for NGRC at a later stage. So these are the kind of new aspects, innovations that we expect to implement for NGRC.
So although it's still in the concept stages now, Cyril, 2025 will be a defining year for the NGRC as those 5 concept phases come to an end. This will enable the programme to understand the requirements for future operational missions and identify rotorcraft innovations and state-of-the-art solutions that can be adopted, as you talked about. How will this inform the implementation of non-proprietary open system architecture?
Again, I will repeat myself a bit on this one regarding the open system architecture. We had a first study, the study 3, to get about this agnostic view on open system architecture. And again, as I said initially in the interview, the idea was really to build some knowledge about this topic. I still remember that a couple of years ago when I discussed with my customers and the 7 nations, I was asking each of them to define what is or which are the benefits of open system architecture, and I got plenty of different answers. So this is when we decided with the nations, we need to gain more knowledge before writing the requirements. So we had this study 3 to build this knowledge and to get the results from Lockheed Martin. And now, through study 5, each of the contractor and for each of their concept solutions, they will come back to us with some ideas for open system architecture, with some doctrines and standards. And the idea will be that using the results from study 3, we can evaluate the result from study 5. And the idea is not to say what we gained from study 3 is the solution or whatever. It's just to build our knowledge so we can ask further questions to the contractors of study 5 to know a bit better, to understand better what they are providing for open system architecture through study 5. And the idea for the next phase would be that once we have this presented from the 3 contractors, is to understand better that for NGRC in the future, do we need to develop a new doctrine and standard for open system architecture, or can we use an existing one or a combination of several existing open system architectures?
So following on from study 5 then, what will be the critical success factors for the post-concept phase, and what do you expect from the next phase moving into 2026 and beyond? And do you see any inhibitors to reach the programme delivery aim of 2038?
This is a challenging question. Indeed, when you discuss about acquisition programs, I always like to refer to what we call the iron triangle. And the iron triangle, you have the objective regarding the schedule, the technical performance, and the cost. So usually you assess the performance and the success of your program against these three pillars of the iron triangle. So currently for 2025, so we plan to conclude successfully the 335 by the end of 2025. And indeed, we already anticipate some of the activities for 2026 and 2027. That means we will go for the writing of the NGRC requirements, and we plan to identify potentially an NGRC preferred solution by end of 2027. And we have also in mind for our nations that ideally they would like to have the first asset delivered by 2038. So you see that the success of NGRC, what is really important today is really the schedule. We have also some cost objectives. So we have an attribute today, which is we are targeting a flyaway cost, which is 35 million euros. So this is about the cost. And regarding the technical performance, it's related to these CONOPS, the concept of operations, and the 11 missions we want to target with NGRC. So with the combination of these three factors, you see indeed which are the targeting objectives for NGRC. Now, Study 5 will provide us with additional information about the three contractors and their concept solutions. So we will understand better, indeed, if for some of the attributes and some of these objectives, maybe we are not realistic enough, and we will have to evaluate and assess against these results how we can prepare the next phase.
So, as you mentioned, one of the key goals of NGRC is to present a timely and cost-effective solution for the upcoming rotorcraft requirements of 2035 to 2040. How does the NSPA ensure that these goals are met when considering the challenges of working with these numerous stakeholders?
I apply these cost management principles, and they are a very useful tool, I think, for our nations, which I mean from the day one, we have this, it's part of the integrated logistics support activities. We want to ensure that our nations will get the most relevant cost information for the current phase, but also the next ones to support that decision making. So these cost management principles, they are based, on data from the past, but we like also to use some cost estimation tools dedicated to acquisition for concept and development activities. And then we put also in place some cost management activities with our contractors. And it starts usually not only when we run the studies, but it starts from the bidding process. So typically in our bidding process, we ask the bidders to provide us with a detailed cost matrix to identify where are the efforts for the activities. And then when we run and monitor the studies, we ask them also to provide us with detailed costs for the current phase, again, for the concept, but also for the development and production activities. As I mentioned, we are focusing on concept solutions. So that means it's not an NGRC solution. So for sure, the costs that we are gaining from our colleagues from industry, they are not binding costs. They are just rough order of magnitude cost. But it's already really useful for our nations to build knowledge and again to prepare that future decision making for the next phase.
Looking ahead then to IMH 2025, can you tell us some of the key takeaways that you'll be including in your briefing and what you expect to gain by your attendance next year?
The next IMH will be for NGRC program and my customers a very exciting event. First, we will have the chance to have two different briefings for this event. So I will start first by presenting the programmatic challenges of NGRC. It will be part of indeed the last MOU that nations signed, and the opportunity for new members to join NGRC. Plus, I will provide also some highlights about which are the next phase content and which are the next steps of NGRC. And then Camille Luxford, within my team, who is the head of the technical section, will provide a detailed presentation about the technical result of some of our studies. So this is really exciting, as I said, because now we can see that as we are getting through Study 5, we have more ideas for the future about the future of NGRC, yes, but we are also getting more technical feedback, which is for our nation something really essential to build the future.
Very good. Well, we're very excited to have you back, Cyril. So thank you.
Thank you
so much for joining us today, and we look forward to hearing from you at IMH 2025.
Yeah, see you next year.
See you
Thank
next year.